go. All right, so we're live. Welcome to episode 183 of Auto Off Topic. Welcome back, Brad, and welcome back, Mercedes and Andy Lilienthal.
Hey there.
Did I say that right?
You
did. Thanks for having us again.
Third time's the charm with the name right, Andrew. It's good.
Right. For those of you that are regular listeners, Andy and Mercedes have appeared on episode 84 and episode 114. You can go back and check those out. So 84 has their car history and all their automotive exploits. And then 114 covers Mercedes' trek through the Rebel Rally, which is a pretty cool thing. So we don't want to double up and cover those things because we've got some other cool stuff to talk about. So you can go back and listen to those if you want to.
If you haven't already, why haven't you?
That's right. So how are you guys doing, Andy and Mercedes?
We've thawed out since the ALCAN.
Well, we've entered a world we don't really know with all of this virus talk.
Yeah, we're going to try to avoid virus talk because this is going to be people's escape from virus talk, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
But agreed, it is a weird time, and we should mention that we are recording during the pretty much very beginning, I guess, of strange times in the United States here. So
uncharted territory in a social experiment nobody wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're actually recording a little later than planned because I got out of work late because we're working from home starting tomorrow. So there was a bit of planning that had to go into that. So apologies for the late start, everybody here, but anybody listening won't know that if I didn't say it. So no apologies for that.
I just want to mention that about Auto Off Topics, that we like to keep it as a fun escape for people from the world, and we generally avoid world news and any type of politics or anything. So that's the last you'll hear of it. And now we're going to talk super fun car stuff and help get your mind off how crazy everything is.
Exactly.
You got it.
All right. So, Mercedes and Andy, you just completed the ALCAN 5000. And on this episode, we want to hear about it because I'm not sure exactly I know what the ALCAN 5000 is. I feel like I know what it is. It's a TSD across Alaska and Canada?
That's part of it, yeah. So just a super brief history of what it is. ALCAN, Alaska, Canada, right? Yeah, 5,000. It's approximately 5,000 miles. So it is a TSD, time speed distance rally. It starts in Kirkland, Washington, which is Seattle area, and the route changes. They've been doing the ALCAN rally itself since 1984. Those were summer rallies. They started the first ALCAN 5000 winter rally in 1988. And so it starts out this year, started out in Kirkland, Washington, like I said. You go through British Columbia, you go through Yukon territories, you go through Northwest territories, you go all the way to the Arctic Ocean up at Tuktoyaktuk. Say that 10 times fast.
As north as you can go, or
it's as north as you can drive in Canada. And it's the only place, I believe, in North America where you can actually drive to the Arctic Ocean on a road. And then we doubled back and then went through Fairbanks and ended in Anchorage. And so, it was slated for 5,120 miles on the route book. And then the whole deal was, though, is that's all not on the rally clock, if you will. I mean, it is and it isn't. The time speed distance parts generally happen one in the morning, one in the afternoon, or there would be just one during the day.
Or they could throw in an evening one, too.
So for anybody that's familiar or mildly familiar with time speed distance rally, you show up, you get a car number, you're out at your car number time. So if first car is out at 8:01, we were car 39, so we were out at 8:39. And then you have a route book, tells you to turn left here, turn right here, change your average speed to, so on and so forth. So we would have the actual timed competition aspect of it, and then we would have a transit, Now, anybody that's ever done a TSD, a transit, maybe, 2 miles, 20 miles, something like that. That's going to get you from one part of the rally to the second stage. On ALCAN, your transits are like 400 miles.
Or 600 miles.
Or 600 miles.
Within a day.
And not every single day we had a TSD, but most days we did. So what it really is it's a combination of TSD rally, crazy road trip, and
Arctic challenges,
Arctic survival, and
especially for the winter.
Let's see, malnourishment, sleep deprivation, and mathematical equations. So,
and interesting things breaking when it's -40 below Fahrenheit outside.
-40 below is an absolutely scary number.
Yeah,
it is.
That was standing temperature too.
We grew up in the Midwest, and we both experienced 20, 25 below zero ambient temperature, and much colder with wind chill. But 44 below zero, which was, I believe, the coldest temperature that was recorded while we were up in the Northwest Territories. 44 below is, cars do weird things. The
People
human body do
things.
weird things. But, growing up, my father used to say, when you're in temperatures like that, you have to be prepared, like you may have to walk out of it.
Yeah.
And
something happens.
That's something that Mercedes and I put a lot of time into, getting the right clothing, getting the vehicle
right,
up to par.
Getting us mentally prepared. It's a huge mental game too.
Yeah,
Not only is it pounding pavement and dirt and ice and snow and rivers that are ice, but it's a lot of a mental game too, and stamina.
Yeah. So the extremely long response to what is the ALCAN 5000 it was a 10-day 5,120 mile road trip with time, speed, distance aspects to it. There were 40 teams.
About 40, yeah.
About 40 teams, and from all over the U.S., all kinds of vehicles.
Yeah.
What kind of vehicles are generally in this rally? Is it something that it's a full rally car? Is it something that it's street cars? What's the modification level as a general rule? Not specifically your vehicle, but what's kind of the accepted norm?
That's a great question. We've had anything from a pretty much bone stock, Golf or a Volkswagen Rabbit, to, all-wheel drive vehicles, Super Foresters, trucks that are four-wheel drive. We've had a couple of, 4x4 SUVs, Mercedes sedan. You've got a whole mixed bag of stuff. So,
but you also had things like lifted Toyota FJ Cruisers.
Right.
You
totally
had,
built out.
The winning car was a 73, I believe it was 73 Mercury Capri rally car, two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive.
Just built up. Yeah, it was just built up.
Yeah, and they had done it in a 66 Ford Cortina before and won it. So, you truly had front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive cars, sedans,
SUVs, trucks.
It's truly kind of run what you brung. There were some vehicles that were completely stock. There were, Mercedes all-wheel drive 4MATIC sedan. I don't remember what car it was. All-wheel drive.
What tires they had? I think that they just had winter tires, and that's it.
All-wheel drive Passats. But there are some requirements. So, like, you have to have, if you have a car, you have to have dedicated winter tires. If you've got
3-peak rated ones at that.
If you've got a truck, they have to have 3-peak rated tires if they're not snow tires. So we ran studded Nitto Exo grapplers, so an all-terrain with studs and that 3-peak rating. So it's a little all over the place. They sort of discourage super highly modified vehicles because of the reliability aspect. That being said, that didn't stop a duo. One gentleman was from Pennsylvania, one was from New York, and before they even started this crazy Arctic rally of 5,120 miles, they drove a super modified Jeep Wrangler Unlimited rock crawler kind of thing. They drove it from New York to Seattle to start the rally.
And then sold it up there after they were done.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Is there classing, or is everybody kind of run in the same catch-all class?
No, that's a good question. There are different classes. So it depends on the TSD rally portion of it. If you have fancy rally computers that are, to like the thousandth and will get you there exactly on time, exactly with the same speed, those are typically unlimited classes. Then the next tier down is equipped classes. They could be in different classifications within their own. So depending on the type of vehicle, maybe it's a 4x4 equipped or, different classes within there. Then there is the SOP class, or the seat of the pants, which is all kind of the stock auto, the stock equipment that you'd have in your vehicle. And there's historical class, which also basically runs with the whatever you have in your vehicle. But historical class is where we ended up with is, much older vehicles, again, historical information, like your odo and what you have with your speedometer. Again, we had a very unique vehicle. So we had a right-hand drive Japanese domestic market Mitsubishi Pajero. It was a 1991. So we were originally running SOP class or City of the Pants, and they asked us to run a historical class. And that was to a very special dedication, actually.
It's a tribute to the racer Rod Hall, who he passed away in 2019. But so you may be like, okay, Rod Hall, Baja racer, Dakar racer,
winner of just about everything, times a bunch.
So why would they ask us to do that? And the reason for that was because I'm going to put my Mitsubishi geek hat on here for a second. In 1986, Rod Hall ran the ALCAN 5000 Summer Rally in a Dodge Raider.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, for anybody that knows, Dodge Raider, same thing as a first generation Mitsubishi Montero, Mitsubishi Pajero. I believe he ran, I think it was a V6 model, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what model.
But so he ran it in that. And so with his passing, they asked us, and the fact that we were running a Mitsubishi Pajero, they asked us to run as a tribute to him.
And since we had a sister vehicle, even though we were just out of the technical year of when they said the historical class could be, they asked to move us into that because of that tribute. So we went from SOP to historic class. There were two different people. There was an old, 19...
I think it was an 88 BMW 325 XI, so the all-wheel drive 3 Series sedan, and us. So I'm happy to report that we got second place.
Second place, and we were two people in the class, but the other guys, hats off to them. They ran an awesome rally. They were seasoned ralliers. They've done this a bunch of times. Well, I don't know about this specific rally, but they've done a bunch of TSD rallies, and it's a very well-known rally vehicle that they had just purchased as well. So different people, different amount of people in each class, and it was pretty cool.
So Rod Hall Racing right now, which is the team run by his family, is still currently running racing vehicles. And it's actually kind of funny because I just did a road trip last weekend, a weekend before, to Reno, Nevada, back to Phoenix. And we passed on the highway the Rod Hall Racing Enterprise teams. So kind of a
nice
funny look. Actually, yeah, they right now they're running Chevy Silverados.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. That's awesome. Unfortunately, Andy and I, we didn't have a chance to ever meet Rod. We would have loved to. I have a couple of good friends of mine that Sue Mead and also Emily Miller that were both taught by him and mentored by him to become extremely very knowledgeable off-road racers themselves, and have really gone on to do really awesome things. But I did have a chance to meet Rod Sorensen. He was competing in one of the Jeep Wranglers up there during the ALCAN 5000. And he had just given me a couple of hard copy old photographs of Rod Hall and doing the ALCAN. And I haven't even had a chance to open up the folder yet, but I'm so excited to take a look at those. And he just said, that hopefully they'd be a good use for future publication for this story.
That's really cool. I can't wait to see those. I love seeing the Raiders and Monteros in like period correct competition. That's really neat.
Yes.
Yeah, and his vehicle, we've seen, so there is a YouTube channel somebody started, an ALCAN 5000 YouTube channel that has all kinds of historical like VHS stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty
that
cool.
has been transferred to YouTube. And there is a photo, or there is a little bit of footage from 1986 that shows that period correct Raider. And I think it's like kind of a brown.
Red. Oh, it was bright red.
Oh, I thought it was a brown orange color. I'm not sure, but maybe it was red. I don't know. But it had
older
that
video. So
it had that
grainy.
Totally like 80s graphics all over it that said Raider, and it was pretty awesome. So.
That's awesome.
So I have a question about uh, the instructions. Were they straight tulips the entire time? Was there any different sections, like they made you use a compass or made you use a map or something?
For this, because it is the Arctic, you could get a blizzard within like 2 seconds of warning. It could be negative 40, 70 below, wind chill. They didn't want people to die, truth be told. So there weren't any actual directional arrows and things like that. What they did is they had the overall mileage, they had the section mileage. So that basically said if you wanted to start your TSD at 0.00, then at 2.87, turn left onto such and such road. Here's your dedicated speed per each direction. But there weren't any challenges, or there weren't any we're trying to trick you here or there.
It wasn't like a full on. It didn't have the full tulip and
right
and that stuff like maybe a traditional rally would, or even some of the time, speed, distance rallies we've run. It was much more straightforward. There were no tricks or gimmicks in this one. They wanted everybody to get there.
And every day ended up. I logged how many miles we drove each day. How many hours of sleep we got, when we got in at night, because we were probably one of the last to leave, and some of the last to get in. So I took a lot of the statistics, wrote them all down, and they wanted to make sure, since we all had 13 to about 16 hours of drive day every single solitary day in and day out, that they want to make sure people are safe. So safety first.
Do they? I know recently a couple TSDs locally here, they've been using like rally trackers. So the same GPS units they use in the Rally America, it's not Rally America anymore, but the current Rally series, they use the GPS trackers. I don't know if they're using any of that type of stuff or...
So they had, so this brings up a good point. So we all had to go through tech inspection. Let me back up just a bit. Go through tech inspection. So we had to have certain safety measures involved. So whether it be road triangles and road flares, a big medical kit, an ABC fire extinguisher, all sorts of those types of things. With that, they had everybody have a dedicated inReach or spot device. And how they tracked all of us was through Spotwalla. So I'm not sure if that's the same type of technology you're talking about.
I think
similar. I think.
Well, so there is a rally app that our Cascade Sports Car Club, which is our local group here.
Yeah, the Richter one, but that's not used to track people where they are. Are you guys talking about where people are while they're rallying?
Yeah. They have,
so
they can do live tracking. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
so
that's
we
like
did.
What Rebel Rally did.
So we used our. Everybody had to have an inReach or a spot. Actually, they basically said at this one, this is the last time they're going to use spots. But they said everybody needed to have an inReach or something like that, and so they could be tracked live. And that's not only so you can share it out to your friends and stuff, but that's for the sweeps team to make sure that they can see where everybody is. In addition to that, I thought maybe you were talking about some of the GPS rally tracking for scoring. Our local club, the Cascade Sports Car Club, has started using this. It's called RICTA, and instead of having people out at specific controls with the stopwatchers or whatnot, they have. I'm not really sure how they do it, but they have locations where you just drive through, and the control just makes a beep beep kind of thing on your phone to let you know that you've gone through the control.
Yeah.
So they were testing that up there, but we didn't implement it.
Right.
So when I just did the Winter Challenge Rally, they still have checkpoints, but several of the checkpoints, so they don't have to have as many checkpoint teams, were now GPS checkpoints. So you hit like a little geofence, and then it logs your location. And that's how they did some of the scoring. So on scoring for the ALCAN, is there actual checkpoints, or are you running is there legs to the TSD, or are you just...
So on ALCAN, you basically there were controls, but there weren't multiple legs. Well, actually, that's not true. We never did more than two TSDs a day, just because of the massive amount of miles we had to do every day. Our shortest day was 425 miles. Our longest day was over 750. So you would generally wake up, have breakfast, if you're lucky, and then do your TSD, your morning TSD. You then may have a 500-mile transit to the next town, and there would be a TSD there, and then you could go to the hotel or whatever. So, so the maximum was two legs.
Okay.
Not including the transit.
So, obviously, people are going for zeros.
Yep.
Correct. And, what kind of scores are you guys getting?
9,000s. No.
Our biggest goal, since we're fairly new at doing TSDs, right? And we haven't killed each other yet, and we're still married, which everybody says, oh my God, husband and wife, you're going to do this together. Wow. And we actually, I feel like we've gotten away with ALCAN closer than where we started it. But that being set aside, is I think with doing the TSDs, just, making sure, okay, you go ahead, you get them done. You stay en route. Everybody says you got to stay en route first and then worry about the time aspect of it and, getting in on time. And so
the short answer is we got 200s a lot,
which
is the maximum score.
Our biggest goal, what I was trying to say, and it's kind of long-winded answer, but what I was trying to say is our goal was to finish the ALCAN because we knew we had a rare oddball vehicle. We brought a huge box of parts that we housed in our Rome Adventure boxes that we had, ratcheted down. But we knew we wanted to finish. We wanted to finish strong. We wanted to do all the TSDs in order en route. And we wanted to be rubber side down, as our friend JR says, with our buddy car. So we accomplished all of that and then some. So we still have a lot to learn in regards to the time aspect of it to make sure we can, do the timing so that, catch ourselves in the interim time, calculate all that stuff to keep us en route during each of the controls before you finish each TSD. That's all experience. That's all. A lot of it's learning and practice.
I will say this. We did not get last place, so that's good. We were actually like 5th from last.
Even if
I think we got 31st out of 36 cars.
31st out of 36, but
we placed higher than I expected during the ice races. I'd like to toot my own horn a little.
Yeah.
In a 100 horsepower turbo diesel Pajero.
Well,
but
and
anyway.
I think we ended up getting a few different awards, which I'm super proud of, and I hope Andy you are too.
No, not at all.
So one of them was the finisher award because, heck, like I said, rubber side down and in one piece, we finished the Galdang thing under our own power. The second one was the Arctic Award, and the Arctic Award is doing all the TSDs in order, en route, not missing any controls. That's a big thing because not all of the teams did that. And then also, we just found out that we got a Go Farther Award. And what that is there are a couple of optional days where you could do what are called extreme controls. They weren't TSDs. They were just, they were different type of extended routes to say, okay, so you're in Inuvik now, go all the way up to Tuktoyaktuk in the Arctic Ocean. Here's another one. Either you could spend the day off. There was a day off, believe it or not. Go to the chain of hot springs in Alaska, or you could be like us crazy, people, and go to Coldfoot in Alaska, which literally is 500 miles, 600 miles.
Yeah, they should
for a fueling station and come back home.
They should have just called it hey, what's another 5,000? They should have said they should have called it hey, what's another 500 miles a day award. So,
but since we did all of those crazy extra trips, we were able to complete all of those things. And, especially it was a big day for us on day 5 to go to Inuvik because we fulfilled our promise and our duty to try to replicate Rod Hall's run. He was one of 5 teams to do Inuvik in the summer of '86, and we were able to complete it this year. So we're stoked. I'm stoked. I can't believe that we did all the extreme controls, including the ice races. Yeah, we did, or not ice races, ice roads, about 170 some miles up to Aklavik and back. On the river, which was really insane.
Your GPS shows you were literally driving the river.
Yeah,
which we were.
We had our friends. We had 2 different buddy cars. So we had our good friends, JR and Judy Russell. They're part of a team anyway, and they had a 2-door Jeep JK. And so she radioed back to us because we all have radio communications. And in case something happens, she says, "You'll never believe this." She says, "The route is actually on my GPS." And I said, "What? On your navigation?" And she said, "Yeah, it says Winter Road to Aklavik," which was nuts.
So given what you're saying about, about that, was that the same ice road that's been made famous by the Discovery Channel show?
I'm not sure if it's I'm not
It
sure
might
if
be
it's the
part of it.
same one or not.
I think there's lots of ice roads up there.
Truth be told, I've
Right.
I've only seen a couple of episodes of Ice Road Truckers, so I'm not really sure what road they're driving. But it's weird. So you're in Inuvik, which is a population of like 3,200 people, and you just drive down towards the river, and the river is a highway. It's as wide as I would say. Well, we drove. It's as wide as any interstate. I mean, I would say it's at least 4 lanes wide, and it's all ice, and they groom it. So they have like a grater, and the grater blade has teeth on it, and it adds a bit of a tooth to it. And so the speed limit on the river. This sounds strange to say, but the speed limit on the river is 90 kilometers an hour. And what is it, like 50 or 52, something like that. And so, and then you come to a corner, and they've put a big, arrow in the snowbank.
They have road signs on the river.
Yeah, they have road signs.
Road signs are pretty crazy.
And
to see.
we got going, faster than that, and our Pajero really isn't that fast.
Yeah, I was going to say we can't really go fast.
We were in four wheel high on the ice road. But we'd get passed by some local in a Dodge truck doing like at least like 120 kilometers an hour, like 70, like with nothing, like no big deal, just driving to work kind of thing. So but that's one of those experiences that the ALCAN provides, the ALCAN Winter Rally provides, that lots of people will never get the opportunity to have. It was really, really special to be able to do something like that.
With our buddy cars, so we had Team 38, or Car 38, which is Team Anyway. We also had Team 40, which was Garrett and Kristen Arndt from Colorado. They had a Lexus GX 470. So the three of us, we all kind of agreed, okay, since we're buddy cars, let's figure things out collectively throughout the whole ALCAN 5000. We all said, okay, let's do about 15, 20 miles. We don't have to go the whole way. None of us radioed each other. We just went, we went the whole entire way.
120 miles later.
It was too cool to be able to not do it. It just, we had another long, long day, and everybody else came back pink and fuzzy and warm and happy and all of that from Chena Hot Springs. But yeah, no, us lunatics went out there and did Coldfoot or in the ice roads and all that crazy stuff.
That was a different day, but the whole thing is like, while you're up there, we wanted to take advantage of some of that stuff. I mean,
well, let's do all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, basically you had optional days, right? So, one of the optional days when you got to Inuvik, the option was you could do this extreme control all the way up to Tuktoyaktuk, which we did. The second optional day was Fairbanks, Alaska. So the smart people went to Chena Hot Springs to get all warm and pink and all that stuff. The rest of us idiots went up to Coldfoot, which is a glorified fuel depot.
Which, thank God, they had the only one of 4 or 5 actual fuel pumping station areas. Like one of the pumps worked.
Yeah,
and it had both gas and diesel.
It was driving the Dalton Highway. Anyway, the joke, however, became one of our ALCAN 5000 people slipped and fell at the hot springs and broke his ankle.
Yeah, he had surgery today.
And the joke was, it was much safer to drive to Coldfoot than to be at the hot springs.
Well, it's not a good joke, but...
It's not a joke, but...
Man, I really do like hot springs, though.
It'd
be a tough choice for me.
And we should have as well.
Actually, honestly, if we do the Winter Rally again, and that's an option, I would do the hot springs.
Yeah.
Because Coldfoot... love anybody that lives in Coldfoot. Both people that live in Coldfoot, but
the semi-truck drivers weren't really happy that a couple of us ralliers were around.
There's not much to see.
Yeah, it's a huge
it's a fuel depot.
Yeah, it's a fuel depot for all the truckers.
So speaking of experience, you talk about how you guys don't have a lot of experience, and you competed in an event that Rod Hall competed in. What is the requirement of experience before participating in this, or is there a level of experience they want you to have before you're like, all right, your turn to loosen our 5,000 mile winter rally or summer rally, whenever you choose to do it?
The first requirement is that you're an air-breathing mammal.
And you can
Check.
pony up the money for the entrance fee.
Check, yeah, double check is the entrance fee.
And he had a vehicle that actually could maybe potentially drive it.
Yeah, and to get a little more serious on that aspect, like you do have to have a vehicle that is capable of making the journey, right?
Well,
they're going to make
pass
sure.
tech inspection.
Yeah, they're going to make sure that your vehicle has all the safety features, all your stuff gets strapped down. You've got cold weather gear. You know, I mean, you can't show
Emergency
up. You
food.
can't show up in a well, you could show up in a Miata hardtop with snow tires, or a soft top with snow tires, but like you've got to be serious about it, right? Because they want, obviously safety is the most important aspect of it, but there isn't a requirement in terms of previous experience or anything like
there
that.
are people that did it the first time with that rally.
There were some people who had never done a TSD that made ALCAN 5000 their first TSD.
And I think we did 3 TSDs, and
I think we've done 3
the
or
longest
4.
one we had was 2 days that went up to the Canada border and back from out in the Dalles, Oregon, which is border of Washington and Oregon.
Yeah,
so
running the entire of Washington.
I mean, the other 2 that we did were 3-hour long. So the variety is completely different. So complete rookies on to people that have won it multiple times, that have been rallying for many, many, many years.
Yeah, but this is not an invite only thing.
Oh yeah, anybody can do it.
You can enter it. You pay your entry fee, and you're put on the list. And this year they had more people want to do it than they were allowed to accommodate, or they were able to.
Yeah,
accommodate.
we were on the wait list for a while.
40 people was the maximum of people that they were going to do.
Teams. Yeah, 40 teams.
Yeah, and so we actually had been put on the waiting list and made the cut. Not too far afterwards. To be honest, we started preparing for it just figuring hopefully we get on. And I mean, hey, rebuilding. It's kind of started by rebuilding the front end of our Pajero. I'm like, oh, why not? We'll just assume we're going to make it, and if we don't, then I have a brand new front end on the Pajero.
Yeah, one little tiny thing started, and then other things broke, and then other things happened, and then before you knew it, Andy and I had everything pulled apart in the front end, and and then we thought, well, okay, we might as well do this, and let's do this, and prepare for this, and start planning. And
it started as I'm just gonna replace the. I'm going to replace the brake pads, and I'm going to replace the what was it? It was one other minor little thing.
CV? No,
it wasn't even the CV.
Bushing or bearing.
Oh yeah, it was. I was going to do the tie rods and end links, and then I noticed the CV boot had ripped, and then I did literally every bearing, bushing, and seal in the entire front.
Well, that's kind of another episode though, because that's a whole discussion about that plus lug nuts is a whole nother podcast in our opinion.
So then, talking briefly about the truck without getting into the whole podcast worth of stuff, I know you made a couple of modifications to the truck. I know you made an auxiliary tank and some seat changes. Was there anything beyond that, or can you want to touch quickly on those things you changed?
Yeah, there were actually several different things that we did. Obviously safety is first. And even though that we're from the Midwest and we're used to very cold temperatures in the Midwest during the wintertime, we knew this was going to be very severe. So we did a lot of research. We planned a lot. We talked to a lot of people that have A, done this rally, B, have got vehicles or know a lot of people that have severe duty vehicles in Arctic type temperatures. One of the things we wanted to do was have long range for our fuel, for our diesel. So we decided to partner up with Long Range America and got a long range automotive auxiliary diesel tank from Australia. And that gained us extra 13.6, I think, gallons of fuel. Because you needed to have a certain, I think
pretty much doubled our range.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you needed to have at least 250 to 300 miles per range was required, plus jerry cans. So we were able to not have jerry cans. We had all of our stuff built in. The other thing too is starting capacity, right? I mean, we know we're old. We know that we had an old diesel, right? And so, making sure that the fuel didn't gel up was a huge thing. So in addition to a little oil pan heater that Andy had installed, we worked with the fine folks at Earth Cruiser out of Bend, Oregon, to install what is called a Webasto Thermotop Evo coolant heater. And that basically cycled through and kept the engine warm and brought up the temperature. And then along with our Optima battery red tops, they had about 800 or so cold cranking amps. We're able to fire it up.
We had two of them.
Right, we had two of them. Yeah, it was a dual battery system. We were able to program the Webasto heater to kick on about an hour and a half beforehand, warm up the engine with or without a plug-in, mind you, and be able to start it every single solitary day.
So
and then of course,
fully self-contained heating unit. You didn't need to plug into a building somewhere; it would run off the battery.
Right,
that's true. And so, pro tip for anybody listening. If you decide you want to do the ALCAN 5000 Winter Rally, try to get a higher number. And the reason...
Sign up right away.
Yeah.
Because next week is summer 2022. Sign up right away. So next week.
We're laughing because my lucky number is 39. And we got number 39 for our rally number. Well, the joke is there's only 40
cars that took off.
Oh.
But
so we were last out and last in.
Right. So we were last out, last in, which means when we would arrive in places like Whitehorse and Inuvik and Fairbanks, where the high temperatures often never got above zero.
And everybody was 2 cocktails in.
Yeah. Or say got dinner when we didn't get dinner.
We didn't get dinner because restaurants were closed.
If you're a high number, you're going to show up later. And most of the time, you don't get any plug-in. So if you've like, well, I've got a block heater in my whatever car I'm driving. Well, if you're a low number, you're not going to get the plug-in.
And I think with the plug-in set aside, we did the oil pan heater as just another option, knowing that the Webasto and the Optima batteries was going to be the primary. And most nights we weren't able to get a plug-in outlet. Everything was taken, and so we had no choice. But we were really lucky that the vehicle fired up, and of course we had so much place and so much emphasis on the vehicle. We thought, oh, well, wait, heck, we're going to have to keep ourselves warm too. So we ended up getting Schulman USA or Schulman seats. They're the Vario F model. They're a heated seat, and they're a German company actually. And Schulman USA is the distributor, Toby Pond. And we had those installed. We made custom brackets, seat brackets made in Seattle to be able to retrofit those for our vehicle. Man, I could tell you that was a lifesaver for us to be able to have those puppies. Just pop them on whenever you needed just a little jolt of warmth, and then they retain their heat so nicely. And we were able to shut that off.
And not only that, it's an orthopedic seat. So
right.
we would do 750 miles, and you get out and you're like,
okay, let's
not
unload.
An ache or a pain. Like, to be honest, like I'll do my 30-mile commute and I'll get out and oh man, my lower back sucks today.
I think I need to talk to Toby to find out if Schulman can actually make a couch for the house.
Yeah,
because
no
I've got lower. Honestly, seriously, it's you never would have thought about it, and I'm so and not to to tout any specific company directly, but. For me, I've got lower back pain quite a bit, and for me to be able to do such extensive off-road driving on snow and ice and bumpy and frost heaves and all sorts of craziness and get out with a 16-hour day and go, okay, let's unload, let's do this, let's do that, let's go, let's hopefully get dinner and this and not even try to go, oh my God, my back is crazy. It's that to me, it's just the stuff that we researched, the stuff that we bought, the stuff that we did for the vehicle, for ourselves. 99% of everything, all of it, all that research was done successfully and it all worked, which was awesome.
This was a vastly different experience than our winter challenge in the Raider.
Really?
Which was a couple years ago. Valentine's Day weekend. It was negative 14 in Vermont.
Yeah, it's cold. And
that truck doesn't really have very good heat, and it had holes in the body.
Oh!
So
it was fine.
I was dressed like I was skiing, and it felt like you bring on a chairlift. The amount of air that was coming in.
No.
He's exaggerating. It was my daily driven vehicle. It was fine. But we did it was the Vermont Winter Challenge Rally, which is a much shorter version of the ALCAN 5000, I would say. But it's a very similar thing, and we did it in a very similar vehicle because it's a first gen, Raider, which is a Pajero or Montero.
Wow.
And our experience was definitely not as comfortable as yours was. So
I will say that I was
Well, you bought the right clothes.
We both did look like we were about to go to.
I look like the Michelin Man.
Okay. We did look like we were about to hit the slopes of Killington, Vermont, but I'm fairly certain I sweat through all 6 layers of clothing that I may have been wearing. The Pajero, our Pajero, the heater was way better than I thought it was. I thought it was like, okay,
and turbo was too.
So like, what? Okay, but like, so anybody that I'm probably the only person listening that has a Gen 2 Pajero with a turbo diesel.
We have 2. Come on, hey.
I know. Well, we own both of them, but anyway. The center vents, they don't put out heat. They just don't. I don't know if something has become disconnected. It's apparently a fairly common thing on Gen 2 Montero and Pajero.
Yeah, mine doesn't put out, like, it just blows cold air.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yep.
You're like, what lever can I flip?
Yes.
And you flipped every combination of levers and it still blows cold air. You're like, I don't understand this.
I kind of want to gorilla tape ours shut because no matter what we do, even if we try to shut them off, they don't work very well and they don't want to twist and they still blow out cold even if it's shut off.
And I don't know why. There must be something that's a baffle or I don't know what it is. But anyway, regardless, like I was a sweaty mess during most of the ALCAN 5000, which was totally fine by me.
Well, and what's funny is we have a lot of warm rated clothing, right? I mean, we're both in the Midwest. I mean, a lot of stuff we don't necessarily have from back there anymore, but we're really lucky that in the Pacific Northwest near Portland where we live, there's a couple of really good companies based out of here. So, along with Nike and Adidas, obviously we didn't really use them, but with Nike and Adidas is based out here. Under Armour, I got their cold gear base layers from Under Armour that I bought. Columbia Sportswear and Mountain Hardware and Sorel and stuff like that. That's all based out of here. So, thankfully we were able to go to the employee store and buy our little hearts out. And yes, I said Michelin Man or woman, I guess, woman. I bought a pair of down Ghost Whisperer Mountain Hardwear pants. Yes, they were bright black, like metallic-y kind of weird looking pants. Yes, I looked really weird because they were lined and they were horizontal, just like a normal puffy jacket is with down. I will totally vouch for anybody else to ever buy those suckers because they're worth their money and they're worth their weight in gold. They're really light, actually, but
they're really, really sexy.
They're really crazy looking, but in between, I had my base layer on. I had those and then I had my Gore-Tex winter ski pants that I bought. And I mean, seriously, I feel still weird to this day wearing one layer of pants right now. We've been back for a week, but I never was cold. And same with the top layers. I think I had 4 top layers on and I wasn't cold.
Full disclosure, like we are not sponsored by any of those companies.
No, not at all.
But they worked really, really well.
It just, we had to invest in certain things. And yeah, I mean, it's I don't want to say it's either being comfortable or death, but it kind of was like, hell, we're going to the Arctic. We need to kind of prepare a little bit more than what we have.
No, I mean, it kind of goes back to that idea that, like, listen, it's the high was like 22 below zero at some days or 20 below zero.
Yeah.
Like you've got to be serious about what you're wearing, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you look like the Michelin woman or whatever,
Well, and there are a lot of people wearing
but there's like
Carhartts and flannel and wool and fur hats and stuff like that. And with at that type of temperature, like Andy had said with his dad, you got to be prepared that you got to walk out of it because I don't care if you've got a brand new Mercedes or if you've got a brand new GMC, Denali truck, Sierra Denali truck or whatnot. If you get stuck or something happens, and if sweeps can't find you, sweeps being like recovery vehicles on the ALCAN, they had a couple of them for medical or, vehicle issues, things like that. They were awesome. Vehicle recovery. If nobody can find you, and if God forbid you had to be out there overnight on your own or for 2 or 3 days, you had to have the provisions, whether they're medical kit, food, water, we had to bring extra water, warmth, all that stuff was there. So we overinvested, we overplanned, we overprepared, but to us, that was success and it worked.
Well, at what price? Safety at that point. It's more important to come home with an empty wallet than it is to not come home. So
it's like you spend how many thousands of dollars preparing and time and install and sweat and tears and all that stuff and maybe a little bit of blood there, with knocking your knuckles.
We had no blood. I did send it no snowbank once, but
we kissed another snowbank.
Yeah, but no
in front of a semi.
Nobody was hurt, or anything like that, and that's the important part.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be very quick and reactionary in regards to changing road conditions, and if there's something that happens, or I mean, we saw 7 moose on the whole entire trek. They're taller than any vehicle I've ever seen, and thankfully none of them were in the middle of the road. But the fine folks that we knew that were from the East Coast that drove their yellow, their unlimited out there, they had one right in the middle of the road, and I think that was the day that was by Pink Mountain where it was the blizzard.
Yeah, we had a total whiteout. So.
But I mean, you got to be prepared, because if you hit something or if you slide off and nobody can find you or that kind of thing, I mean, it's a realization. But for us, it was so much more safe than people going up on their own, doing this type of a trip on their own with no support. And I would do it again in a heartbeat.
So it's highly recommended then.
Yes. Well, if you're a fringe lunatic that loves Arctic conditions, yes. No, but honestly, in all honesty, I would. And I think that the summer 22 starts, what is it? Let's see, we were able to sign up early, but I think that's March 25th, I think, is when you can sign up for it.
No snow on that one, likely.
Well, not much snow.
Less snow and warmer temperatures.
Yes, more bugs.
Mosquitoes.
More bugs.
We've heard lots of mosquitoes.
Yeah, I can imagine. Being from the Northeast is probably very similar to the Northwest and the wet springtime weather.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's all like swampy and boggy when it's not frozen. So.
Yeah.
How many times? I feel like I saw on social media you drove through the Arctic Circle a couple times, right? How many times was that?
Actually, 4 times.
It was planned because that was the extra trip. We did 4 Arctic Circle crossings within 3 days.
In 2 countries.
Yep. I don't know of how many other people that I know, other than a couple of crazy other ALCAN 5000 people that decided to do all the other extreme controls, can actually say that. So yeah, that's a bucket list, an unexpected one.
We're sort of special that way.
Special.
Oh, here's a good question. So at this time of year, or the time of year that you did it, how short was the daylight? Like,
ooh, that's a great question.
It's funny because we expected it to get dark really early and all that stuff. Mercedes and I, because of our propensity for lovely warm places, went to Iceland in July. And that was honestly about 20 hours of daylight. So we thought, well, we're going to be farther north than we were in Iceland. And we thought it would be that way. And actually it was, the sun was low on the horizon a lot, but it did get pitch black and full sun. So it really was fairly normal. I mean, it would start getting dark around 5 p.m. and it was light, about 7 in the morning. So it wasn't anything totally weird.
And I think the coolest thing for us, or for me, of course, I don't want to talk for Andy again, but was the Arctic sunrises. I tried to gauge when the sun was actually peaking up. If it wasn't flat sky, because a lot of times it was just, overcast and you couldn't see anything, and the roads were really flat, which was interesting to drive on. But we had the opportunity to see a couple of Arctic sunrises. And I don't even know, I think it was like 9 o'clock, 9:30 or something like that, when the sun just started peeking out and the horizon was so low and we're not too far away from Tuktoyaktuk. And it was the most enchanting pastels I think I've ever seen. It just, with a white ground and everything so flat, it was quite beautiful.
Enchanting pastels were exactly what I was going to say.
You're a guy, come on.
No, that crazy like Chevy Silverado on tracks in Eagle Plains was probably amazing too. So
enchanting pastels.
It was enchanting. The Silverado was enchanting.
Enchanting, at least. Okay.
So
wild. Oh, I think you Andy, did you do a special shot? I feel like I saw.
Oh, wait!
Oh, boy.
It was both of us.
Really?
It was both of us.
Okay, careful. All right. Anyway, so we both
gotta have the notoriety.
Okay, anybody that's listening, if you ever go to Dawson City, you've got to go to the Downtowner Hotel bar. This is where they do the sourdough cocktail. The sourdough cocktail is pretty much a rite of passage for anybody in the Yukon. Like, if you go through Dawson City, you have to. I don't. It is quite literally a mummified human toe that they put in the bottom of a shot glass filled with a high proof alcohol. In our case, it was Yukon Jack.
Yeah, Yukon Jack. Yep.
Yukon Gold or potatoes.
Oh,
anyway,
yeah.
there was no Yukon potatoes in
Yukon
this.
Jack.
But anyway, and then they kind of do this little ritual thing. You get a certificate. You get your name logged in a guest book.
You cannot. This may sound really, really gross, but of course you can't eat it or swallow it. If you accidentally swallow it, not to be totally gross, it's a $2,500 fine. And people have done it, apparently. There's multiple tolls, by the way.
It's also like borderline cannibalism at that point.
No, technically it is cannibalism. You were eating a human body part.
Right. So they made that very well known. There's signs posted for it. But you cannot, this is really gross. You cannot, I can't believe I'm saying this on radio or on podcast, suck it. You cannot really lick it. You have to have it touch your mouth, though. You have to have it touch your lips.
You have
you're supposed to kiss it, right?
Yeah, you have to kiss it.
The most oddly specific fetish I've ever heard.
It is so.
It's not a fetish.
Let me tell you what. It is. I had heard of this, and I had a little bit of reservation before doing it.
A little,
but you don't have. But here's the thing. You don't have a choice. Like, you have to do this if you're there. You have to do it.
You could have been an innocent bystander and then got made fun of.
Sorry, yes.
I think the first people that I knew of were our friends at Expedition Overland that went up and did it.
Yeah, I had never heard of it until we watched Expedition Overland. But
so the question
on Expedition Unknown or one of the Expedition, I don't know what the show. It's one of the Josh Gates shows that are on like Discovery Travel Channel. I saw him do it once.
Yeah.
That's how I know about it.
So inquiring minds want to know. I want to know. Where does the toe come from?
A human?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
our lips are sealed.
No, I think people have basically. Don't quote me on this, but I think people have like donated their toe. Like,
well, it started with the original toe or two, and then I think didn't the guy die or something like that? And I think there was like a marathon runner that died or something and donated one of their toes.
I bet you Google knows. So
yeah, I would Google more than the hearsay that we heard while we were doing the toe. No, that sounded really bad.
Well, you do the toe.
You do the toe. Yeah.
It's its 10th toe that they're on right now.
Oh, okay.
It started in 1973. I am currently Googling it. That is absolutely disgusting looking at a picture of it, by the way.
Thankfully, we had a really robust medical kit that was outside our vehicle, or inside our vehicle outside if we needed to from Chiron Remote. So, God forbid if we had any upheaval of sorts or craziness. I mean, the bar was packed because all of us Looney Tunes that were there with the ralliers,
It did not include anything for Athlete's Foot.
Yeah, right. I don't think it had that.
This is well beyond that.
I think it's beyond that, yeah.
The first toe belonged to a miner and rum runner named Louis Lycan, who had his frostbitten appendage amputated in the 1920s. He preserved it in a jar of alcohol in his cabin for memories. And then 50 years later, in 1973, Yukon local Dick Stevenson found the jar while cleaning the cabin, brought the toe to Sourdough Saloon, and started plunking it into the drinks of those who were brave enough. Therefore, the Sourdough Cocktail Club was formed. So you're in the Sourdough Cocktail Club now.
Yes,
we are.
We had to buy.
We're not. Yeah,
we have our certificates.
We're members.
We all took it. Cars 38, 39, 40. All of our buddy cars. All three of us together. We're team back of the bus, as we jokingly said, because we were kind of back of the bus, being late starters. But we all did it. We all got our certificates, and I got the photo as proof, man.
I also learned that Yukon Jack is delicious, which is
it is. Well, it would be probably even more delicious on its own.
So there used to be a $500 fine to drink the toe down.
And inflation's a
you know what?
Well, no, because somebody came in, plunked down $500 and swallowed the toe on purpose.
Yeah, I've heard of this
Get
before.
out.
I've heard of
so they jacked the fine up to $2,500 to discourage that.
Oh, God.
You could pair it with any drink, but one rule remains the same. You can drink it fast. You can drink it slow, but the lips have got to touch the toe.
Yeah, the gnarly toe. Yeah, he's added in. The bartender's added in not touch the toe, but touch the gnarly toe. And I've got video of it.
We were told it had to be over, I think 90. Was it 90 proof? It had to be really high alcohol content because there's a for all of those beverage enthusiasts that are listening, there's a fantastic Canadian maple syrup flavored whiskey called Sortilège.
Sortilège is awesome.
And they said, do you want it in just Yukon Jack? I'm like, well, I see you have Sortilège. They're like, oh, it's got to be higher proof than that. I said, oh, okay. So it does have to be a certain proof alcohol.
Wasn't it Steph from Paul River that introduced us to Sortilège?
It was.
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. This is really gross looking at it. I can't
it's
even
disgusting.
believe you did it.
You have to do it.
Oh,
You
yeah.
I
don't
feel
have
like
to-
I would have done it there.
I don't know.
Photos and videos proof, man.
It's not as bad as you think.
Hey,
Pre-drink.
I'm not questioning that you did it. I'm just questioning if I could have done it because it's
You
It's a
could
when
have
in Rome thing.
Have a couple of beers beforehand.
Even though we
fine.
got back really late in the of course we didn't get any plugins because why would we get plugins for the electrical outlets to plug in the Pajero? We were able to go before the bar closed. We went there and we're like, oh my God, this is a place. And so, of course we had to do it.
Oof. Okay. Well,
Because we're strong. We're strong like that, right?
Strong,
or we're
yeah.
idiotic.
I
Absolutely,
listen.
yeah.
I like to think that I'm
Like
strong
that.
and adventurous too, but this picture is a picture
Hey,
says a
life is
thousand
about
words.
experience.
Yeah, it
That's what they
certainly
call
is.
it, the gnarly toe.
It's gnarly. There's no question. Wow. I sorry. I don't mean to harp on this, but wow, it's.
Now
Andrew-
you know the
Andrew-
real us.
Did you Google this, Andrew?
Oh, I've seen it on TV.
Have you looked at the picture of this toe?
Yeah, I saw it. They showed it on TV.
I mean, looking at the length of the toenail, when this man was alive, he didn't have clean feet. So I'm not sure. Anyway, that's the thing. This is not the story I expected the podcast to go down. I'm happy it did because it's a great story. I'm happy you did it, not me.
You never know. You never know when you have either of us on or both of us, especially, is double the power. So you never know what we're going to be talking about.
Well, I think that if you up drinking a drink with a human body part in it, I probably don't want to know. So you might have topped it.
That brings me to, I think, probably one of the last questions was, do you have any regrets from this trip?
Other than drinking a human toe, obviously.
Okay, I don't even regret that. But no, I personally have no regrets at all. I think we still, we learned a lot. I think that our ridiculous amount of preparation was probably a good idea, considering we didn't have any issues with anything any vehicle problems, any
just to tweak
clothing,
some stuff.
wardrobe malfunctions or anything. But I did learn that, okay, if you get in late, you better be prepared to bring your own dinner, kind of thing.
Like Mountain House.
Yeah, we ended up eating Mountain House a couple of times, just dehydrated camp backpacking food, which is better than no food if you get in late.
Or wake up early. Breakfast skillet and fajita bowl, man.
Right. That's right. Here's another pro tip for anybody considering doing this: is if you get up, a lot of these and go for breakfast, a lot of these places, these smaller towns, or even the hotel you're staying at, they're not accustomed to having 100 people show up for breakfast. And so
Or they might not even be
the
open.
wait is going to be super long, and
Yeah.
you might not get out in time to do your TSD rally in the morning. So we had brought a bunch of Mountain House dehydrated backpacking food, and I would just cycle hot water through the coffee maker in the room and put that in the Mountain House so we'd have hot breakfast in the morning.
Yep.
But yeah, it that worked really well. I would not say I have a single regret at all.
I don't have a single regret. I mean, Andy and I it was close to a year in the making, 6 months solid for preparing, and I'm almost borderline OCD. I'm very, very, very detailed, and I both hate it and love it about myself.
It helps with the hand washing during the coronavirus.
Shit, you said
Sorry.
you weren't going to talk about
Sorry.
that thing going on. But anyways, I'm extremely detailed, and I think for me, doing lists upon more lists of, what's going to be, what's in our vehicle recovery kit from Warren, what's going to be in our roam boxes, what's going to be in our Chiron remote medical kit, what's going to be in our, food bag. We had a temporary runner bag where we had our food and water, and we had our little Camelback, water thing so we could drink on the fly. And, and I laminated those. Don't laugh. I laminated them, and I actually literally spent a long, long, long time listing all that stuff out, because I knew it's okay, in a pinch, in a panic, what are you going to do? You're going to freak out. Energy is going to be high. You're going to be crazy. You're going to be like, oh my God, and you won't be able to think straight. So laminating stuff, getting stuff listed out, getting stuff taped onto boxes as to what you have where, all of that stuff prevented any anxiety or any regret because I knew we were prepared. We dotted our I's and crossed our T's probably a dozen times versus just twice or 3 times. Do I have any regrets? Boy, not really. I think the only thing I forgot was my little hard drive backup for my photographs, my cable, but somebody else on the rally had it and kindly lent it to me. Thank you. Lent it to me along the way so I could back up photographs, but no regrets. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. It was a chance of a lifetime, a challenge of a lifetime, but also a chance of a lifetime.
What she said.
That's cool. And I can speak from experience. I've done, I think, quick math, 20 TSDs, and still very, very bad at them. Yeah, very, very bad at them.
Yeah. We've always run seat of the pants and not done any kind of timing officially with equipment or anything. And it's never worked out in our favor.
Pretty good about staying on course. Like we got relatively good at staying on course, and occasionally we'll get lucky with maybe like a 10 or a 15 or something.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's usually a lot of 200s.
Yeah, same. But they say like our friends Paul and Yulia, I mean they've won ALCAN before.
Well, and they came in 3rd place this year and won the ice race.
Yeah, and like they said that, so like just learn to stay on course before you start doing all your crazy mathematical calculations.
Right.
We started off, they were very gracious to show us, and by us I mean Mercedes, because I'm math challenged. They showed her how to do
the calculations,
a lot of the calculations and for time and all that stuff, and I think we probably dove in a little farther than we needed to.
Well, then we were ready to.
Yeah,
I mean,
we ended up staying on course. We never missed a control, anything like that. So that was successful for us. But we're gonna get better at this. We really like TSD rally.
And I think the biggest thing for us is, like Andy just pointed out, is staying on course first. And then when you feel like you can stay on course and you don't kill each other and you're good at following directions and all that kind of thing, and your rig is running well, then try to introduce the time calculations part of it. And then speed hacks to be able to get that going. So we're at that point. I think we're seasoned enough-ish to be able to introduce some of those things. But I think for us, I wrote down statistics along the way. So it was apparently 5,120-ish miles. I don't think that may not have included our venture up to Coldfoot or not. But I did a starting Odo, mind you, the the Terra Tractor, which is our Pajero, is only in kilometers per hour. But we did a starting Odo of 121,892 kilometers on our Odo. We're 8.9% off with our tire being different. And we finished out and calculated out how many miles we actually drove from our home to get to the start line in Kirkland. Start line up to, Inuvik, Tuktoyaktuk, Arctic Ocean, back down to Whitehorse, all the way back over to Fairbanks, and in Anchorage, and then fly back home. So the total miles traveled on the Pajero with the adjusted tire size, mind you, and kilometers per hour to miles per hour, is 5,400.35. And flying home was 1,542 miles. And that garnered us an estimated total of 6,942 total miles for this TSD.
That's a big number.
That's kind of a crazy, insane number.
That's driving back and forth across the country twice.
Yeah, pretty much.
I had done the calculation. Like if we had decided to go 5,400 miles south, we would have ended up in Peru.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Warmer.
Yeah.
By the way, warmer there.
Yeah. You would have gone through some slightly less safe areas in the way there, I'm assuming, though. So you probably did better by going to Alaska.
Yeah.
Oh, that brings up a really, well, not a good point about that, but that brings up a major point that I wanted to cover just quickly. The people, the ralliers, the organizers, Jerry Hines, the owner of the rally,
lots
all
of
the staff.
They were all bandits.
Stop. And the sweeps teams, hats off to those guys, all those people, especially the rally people. Even though we're competitors, we were all family. I miss those guys absolutely terribly. Another thing that was really interesting for me was meeting the locals along the way. it was so cool to just get a tiny glimpse into their life, to see what they're all about, who they are, what they wanted to share with you. They were so inquisitive about our vehicles, to see kind of some of these stickers on here, and they wanted to know. And they're like, oh, this one guy that was a carver, an older gentleman, I think it was at 70 Mile House,
70
Mile Road or 70 Mile House or something, a really interesting town name. And he stopped me, and Andy was going, I don't know, getting some food or actually going to the restroom and coming back out, and he said, oh, Inuvik. He says, oh, I was up in Tuktoyaktuk in Inuvik, and I couldn't even replicate my accent if I wanted to. And he said he learned from some of the people up there how to do all these really native carvings, and since have done that. Oh, it was 70 Mile House. Where was that? It was in Canada?
In British Columbia.
Oh, British Columbia in Canada, further north. And he said he learned from the natives up there, and then, he just progressed with his learning and doing all these carvings. And I think there was a townsperson that had cancer and couldn't afford the insurance to be able to do the chemo or to be able to, get themselves better. He donated, I have it written up, I want to say like 70 or 80 of his carvings, and ended up raising like $8,000 or $9,000 for the local to be able to do the cancer treatment. It's like stories like that just make me kind of well up right now, because there's so many good people in this world. And for us, I think it was the people, for me, it was the people that you met, no matter if they're ralliers or organizers, but the natives, the people the locals that you met along the way, that was so cool and so enriching and so goddamn rewarding.
Yeah, that's very, very cool.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah, completely. That's so well said. And I think people with a commonality, common interest, helping each other, and teaching each other. And it's so cool. It's amazing.
Did I mention I put it in the snowbank once? No, it's okay.
There is video maybe lurking out on Facebook. Thank you, JR. But us having to snow it or sail it into a snowbank with our snail in the back.
But you're right. Everybody was safe. All the everybody made it back in one piece, and it's all good.
And I mean, just those people that that have had challenges. I mean, hopefully everybody's overcome and is decompressing well. And our hats and Godspeed off to the gentleman Steve, and that's getting surgery today with his ankle. Godspeed on a quick recovery for him.
I don't. It was a joy having you two on again. Do you have any? Well, you can tell people where they can find you on social media, and if you've got anybody to plug or anything to plug, feel free to do that right now.
Yeah, you bet. So we're at crankshaftculture.com. You can find us on Facebook at Crankshaft Culture, Instagram at Crankshaft Culture, Twitter at Crankshaft Cult, although I haven't been posting much there. And then we have a YouTube channel as well that we'll be populating more of. Thanks to everybody that helped us along the way. We had a whole bunch of amazing sponsors. A lot of our friends and family helped out, and much love, much appreciation to all those people.
Well, and with those people, without those people, we wouldn't be able to have done this rally. And so, keep watching Crankshaft Culture's social media as well. Andy and Mercedes Lilienthal personally on Facebook as well. We will be sharing out the different publications. We'll be on, podcast, of course, radio. We did some national in live radio a couple of days ago, a few different channels, and then YouTube with Pickup Truck and SUV Talk with Tim Estradal. Also Tread Magazine, dirtsportsworld.com. And, you never know. I think that there's going to be other articles coming down the pipeline about maybe some of the gear that we used and some of the different products that we used that, what did work and how did we do things and what worked and what didn't work. So, as far as the list of sponsors, that would be on Crankshaft Culture's social media. You'll be able to see some of the posts. And again, of course, friends and family, hats off to the support, the prayers, the love, the devotion, the dedication, just to be able to get us there.
And we appreciate you guys having us on there.
Yeah. Thanks for having us again.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
All right, Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350.
All right, cool. So you can always find the Auto Off Topic podcast on Facebook, Auto Off Topic on Instagram. You can find me, Raised in Anger, on Instagram. And just one final word is just please look out for each other. We've got some trying times coming. Try to support local businesses as best you can. Do whatever you can.
Yep.
Be nice to each other. This is something that we're all in it together. And hopefully this podcast gives you a little bit of an escape from it. And that's a little thing that we're trying to do. It's not much, but it is something, right? So, as always, keep your cars analog and aim for the roses.